In the early 1800s, London was a swelling metropolis, rapidly expanding into a dense maze of fog and cobblestone. With this growth came a new scale of criminality, ranging from daring jewel heists to brutal headline-grabbing murders. To fight back, the city relied on ordinary police constables. These men were under-equipped for the task, patrolling the dark streets with nothing more than wooden nightsticks and lanterns, while relying heavily on neighborhood gossip to piece together what had happened. Because of this, early investigations lacked methodical rigor. Local coroners would typically inspect a scene, listen to rumors, and declare a cause of death based on subjective assumptions. The volume of unsolved crimes forced an institutional shift. In 1842, Scotland Yard formed an experimental 8-man detective branch, operating entirely in plain clothes. The Victorian public met them with immediate hostility. Newspapers labeled these undercover officers spies and slinkers in the shadows, worrying that men who operated in disguise blurred the line between the law and the underworld. To prove their worth and secure the public's trust, these investigators had to find a way to move past subjective spying and establish objective, verifiable truth. The need for objective science became clearest with the use of arsenic. Because it was tasteless and cheap, a murderer could deliver this poison at the dinner table without leaving a physical mark, a reality that earned the chemical the nickname the inheritance powder. In 1836, an English chemist named James Marsh developed a chemical test capable of detecting invisible traces of arsenic inside a victim's tissue. This test effectively gave a corpse a voice. Toxicology allowed the victim to testify against their killer through the silent evidence left in their own body. But understanding the body was only half of the solution. Investigators also had to secure the environment. Before the Victorian era, a crime scene was often a muddled mess. Crowds of neighbors and even policemen would trample through alleys, wiping away footprints and passing murder weapons around like morbid souvenirs. High-profile failures, specifically the unsolved Jack the Ripper murders of the late 1880s, exposed the consequences of these contaminated environments. By the 1860s, police began adopting photography to capture the exact placement of bodies and objects before they could be disturbed. This allowed detectives to freeze a moment in time, removing it from the chaos of the streets so it could be studied in a quiet laboratory, even years after the event. Even with a crime scene secured, investigators faced a problem of identity. A suspect could easily vanish into the crowds by adopting a fake name or shaving their beard. A French officer named Alphonse Bertillon introduced the first systemic attempt at physical identification, developing a method of mechanically measuring repeat offenders. He recorded specific data points, skull lengths, arm spans, and ear sizes, to create a mathematical profile that could not be easily faked. By the 1880s, the focus shifted from the external dimensions of the body to the microscopic patterns of the fingertips. Sir Francis Galton and Sir Edward Henry developed a system for filing and searching the unique loops and arches found in every human print. This is a framed display of the fingerprint identification system used in the 1902 Deptford murder case. That same year, a burglar named Harry Jackson was convicted solely based on a thumbprint he left on a freshly painted windowsill. Jackson's trial proved that the justice system no longer relied on confessions or unreliable human witnesses. A conviction could now be secured through the authority of forensic data. These scientific victories changed how the public viewed the detective, who was now seen less as a slinker and more as a capable professional. This respect birthed literary icons, peaking with Arthur Conan Doyle's creation of Sherlock Holmes, a character whose reliance on chemistry and deduction mirrored the real-life ambitions of Scotland Yard. However, the era's obsession with categorization also led to the pseudoscience of phrenology. Figures like Cesare Lombroso claimed you could identify a criminal by the shape of their jaw or a sloping forehead. While presented as a forensic tool, phrenology functioned as a way to pathologize the poor and immigrants, using the language of biology to reinforce social prejudice. In just 100 years, the core logic of the criminal investigation moved from local gossip toward laboratory data. The 1800s began with watchmen carrying wooden rattles. By the end of the century, investigators utilized fingerprint databases, toxicology, and scene photography. By 1900, Scotland Yard had established a framework for justice that prioritized methodical observation over assumption. While it did not solve every mystery, it ensured that the evidence, not the constable, would have the final word.